Not Doug, I'm sorry. We got, he's the head of electric yeah. Especially for Josh. Very head of electric. Yep. Absolutely. Thanks for saying hi, Cody.
Test, 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 test.
Good evening and welcome to First Congregational Church. I'm Reverend Ramona and we are honored to co-sponsor this important candidate forum with the Naperville Environment and Sustainability Task Force. It's great to see so many of you here with us, showing your commitment to these critical issues. We are also pleased to welcome staff members from the Naperville offices of Congressman Bill Foster and Congresswoman Lauren Underwood. I think they're over there. There you go. Okay. Thank you for joining us. Tonight's discussion is an opportunity to learn more about where our candidates stand on sustainability and environmental priorities. To guide our conversation, I'm pleased to introduce our moderator for this evening, Barbara Lymans.
Thank you. So welcome to this candidate forum sponsored by the First Congregational Church of Naperville and NEST, the Naperville Environment and Sustainability Task Force. I'm Barbara Lymans, your moderator, and I live in West Chicago, so I will not be voting for any of the candidates participating in this forum. Tonight's event is a candidate forum and not a debate. Candidates are expected to represent the facts accurately, share their own views and opinions, and avoid commenting on the views of others. We will not fact-check the candidates' statements during this forum. Fact-checking is the responsibility of you, the community members, news media, and opposing candidates. All candidates attending tonight have returned the ground rules for the participation, and these rules specify the format, time limits, broadcasting, and other rules related to the forum's conduct. The candidates will begin in alphabetical order with their 60-second opening statements. They will then alternate the order in which they answer questions. The forum will include 3 prepared questions, which all the candidates will have 90 seconds to answer. Lightning round questions, which will be yes or no answers, and audience questions. If you raise your hand, volunteers will provide you index cards and pens so that you may submit your questions during the forum, which will be collected by volunteers. Volunteers will also serve as timers, and I will enforce the time limits. Just be aware. If a candidate exceeds the time limit, I will ask them to finish their sentence and move on to the next candidate. We appreciate you, the community members, who take time to learn about the candidates by attending or watching forums like this before casting their votes. And for those joining us today, we kindly ask that you refrain from taking photos or recording video during the forum. Please listen attentively, silence your phones and electronic devices, and avoid commenting or disrupting others. We also ask that you hold your applause until the forum concludes. So with all that, let's begin. And candidate Banswal, your opening statement. You have 1 minute.
Good evening. Thank you, Nest, for hosting the forum for us. My name is Meghna Bansal. I'm running with 3 priorities: supporting our law enforcement, public safety, economic development, and addressing focusing towards mental health crisis. Currently, I'm serving on Planning and Zoning Commission, Township Trustee for Wheatland Farmer, co-chaired senior committee, and chairing several other nonprofits, being a finance executive for 22 years. Yes, we do implement sustainability measures. Daily habits is our practice at our home. Supporting energy efficiency and resources is definitely, I always respect conserving our natural resources. And losing by 41 votes 2 years back, I realized we need to engage in community more and deeper involvement in the entire Naperville. And that's what I realize. Environment is very important.
Thank you very much. Candidate Bruzan Taylor.
Thank you. I'm Councilwoman Jennifer Bruzan Taylor. I'm running for re-election for Naperville City Council. I'm running for re-election because I understand what makes Naperville special. People move here for the schools, the parks, the city amenities, and safe neighborhoods. But this does not occur in a vacuum. When I'm running for re-election so that I can continue to ensure that we focus on our small businesses, reasonable development, public safety, and sustainable measures for our community. so we can continue to be the safest city in America, best place to live, best place to raise a family. I love this city. I want to build on the successes started by our predecessors, successes that I've nurtured the last 3.5 years, and I'll continue to work to grow in my next term. I will focus on city business only and make decisions that are best for community as a whole. So please check out my website, taylorfornaperville.com, to see the sustainable measures that I have supported in the past, and I'll work to support in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Gibson, your 1-minute opening statement.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you to our host. And thank you to all of you for spending your evening and caring enough about our community and the environment. Spend a couple hours with us. I grew up in the area. I moved back about 10 years ago. My background is in public policy and data analytics. And in 2021, I had the honor of being elected to the Naperville Park District, where I've served as Park District President for the last 3 years. When I was elected, I told our community that I would use an environmental lens on all of our decisions, and I'm really proud of the work we've done at the Park District these last couple years. We've expanded our native plantings, adopted dark skies resolution, shoreline stabilization, and invasive species removal, and we recently just approved a contract for electric golf carts at Springbrook. Just a couple things off the top, but I'm really anxious to apply my sustainability lens to the Naperville City Council. I'm looking forward to talking more about the issues tonight. Everything is time limited, so if you want to talk after, I would love to elaborate on my answers more. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Ian Holtzhauer, and I'm running for re-election to the Naperville City Council. I think leadership is about giving people something to believe in that's bigger than themselves, and I think all of you in this room, by coming out tonight, are showing that you believe in a future where we not only take back some of the environmental sins of the past, but actually leave a better world environmentally, morally, and otherwise for our children. I am very proud to consistently, throughout my 4 years as a candidate and city council member, to have opposed the renewal of our coal power contract with IMEA. And wherever you stand, you always know where I stand on that issue. With regard to sustainability, I look forward in the next 4 years to seeing Naperville implement a climate action plan, and I look forward to getting to know all of you and your questions more this evening. Thank you.
Candidate Jason.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Nest. Thank you all for showing up. My name is Nag Jaiswal. This is my second run at the election. I'm running on a mission of one Naperville, one vision, shared success. There is a difference in 2 districts, 2 counties. So I'm going to focus on one vision and shared success. My platform is GEMS, G-E-M-S, Greener, Eco-Friendly Naperville, Economically Thriving Naperville, a Moderate Budget-Friendly Naperville, and a Safe Naperville. I am an engineer. I'm a digital transformation expert. I'm in the area for 20 years, and you can get more information on nagjaiswal.com. My sustainability measures are 60% renewable energy, and the remaining we can discuss as a council. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Derek McDaniel. I've been a resident of Naperville for a little over 40 years. I've grown up here. My wife and I are raising our 3 kids, and we could not imagine being anywhere else but right here in Naperville. I believe in Naperville's impact on the region, on the state, but most importantly on every single one of us. I'm running for City Council to keep Naperville safe. The safety of our residents and our business owners is our #1 priority. I'm running for Naperville City Council to ensure that we spend our tax dollars wisely so we can keep our property tax rates low and provide an affordable and sustainable community that benefits every Naperville resident. And I'm running for Naperville City Council to grow our economy and bring new businesses to Naperville, as my voting record as a 2-term planning and zoning commissioner will support. Naperville has long been a city that enhances the lives of every resident, and by embracing smart, sustainable initiatives, we can lead the way toward a thriving future. Thank you all very much.
Good evening, friends. My name is Ashfaq Hussain Syed, and I'm a long-term resident of Naperville. I'm the board president of Naperville Public Library, board member of Loaves and Fishes, 360 Youth Services, and Naperville Neighbors United. I've been in this community for 8 years, serving this community non-stop without any expectations. And today, I decided that I should run for city council so that I can help support the larger community. And I have a passion for community service. It's in my DNA. It's in my blood that I should serve the community. From day one, I have been into this community so that I can work and bring people together. I have a special skill of organizing people together, bringing people together. And sustainability is something which is very near and dear to me, where I feel we all need to work for the next generation. Planet, we all talk about planet, but how we are working on the planet, what we are going to do for the planet is very, very important. So I feel that we need to.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Candidate White.
Hello, everyone. My name is Benny White. I am running for Naperville City Council. I'm excited about running for City Council. I have been one of your councilmen for almost the last 8 years, and I'm excited about the opportunities that we've been able to present through NEST that has allowed this community to move forward. We still have some work to do, but I am very proud of the work that we've been able to do. We talk about sustainability when you look at our strategic plan, and we hit it in 2 phases. We talk about financial responsibility and development. In order for us to sustain our community, we have to have development and have a thriving community. And the other thing is we talk about environmental sustainability. What are we doing as far as the coal plants that are going on down in with IMEA, bringing in vegetation and trees and so on. All of that is part of sustainability, and I enthusiastically support those particular measurements. Also, I can tell you, since I've been on council, for the very first time, we hired a NEST person.
Thank you so much, Candidate White.
Thank you.
I told you I'd be tough. Our first question is going to begin with candidate Brazan Taylor. And here's the question. Naperville has some of the dirtiest electricity in the state because 80% of Naperville's electricity comes from burning coal. We are locked into a sole-sourced contract with the IMEA through 2035. In addition, the IMEA has proposed extending this contract through 2055, thereby circumventing opportunities for ratepayer savings from price competition through a bidding process. Would you unconditionally oppose signing this early contract extension? And what next steps do you recommend? You have 90 seconds.
Thank you. There are many people in this room who clearly know how I stand on this as the NEST liaison to City Council. I very clearly have stated from the beginning that any renewal for our contract or any determination we make in how we're going to procure our energy in the future is going to be on Naperville's timeline, not IMEA's timeline. We have until 2030 to let them know under our contract with them whether we're going to renew with them or not. And as you all know, if you're here in this room, you know how important this decision is as to whether how we're going to procure our energy in the future. And so, from the very beginning, I've said this: we have to take our time and make the right decision and look at all the options. I push for us to hire an energy consultant who is going to look into all the different ways we could procure our energy and come to us with the pros and cons as to this. I also push that this be a very transparent process and that we have workshops open to the public so the public can comment as to the different options. And whatever option that gets picked, I've also been very upfront that we're going to bid this out, just like we would any other project before Naperville. And so this is something I've stood strong from the beginning, and I will continue to stand strong for, because this is going to take time, and we're not going to have this done by April 30th, 2025, nor should we have it done by that time. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Gibson, your thoughts.
Yes, thank you. I emphatically oppose renewing early for the IMEA contract. I can't think of any other contract before the city that we would extend for 20 years, 10 years before we need to, without doing a bid, and especially a contract of this importance to Naperville and to our wider Illinois and American communities. In terms of next steps, I think we need a climate action plan that looks at sustainable environmental measures holistically throughout our community. We need to engage all stakeholders, investigate all options, and make sure we're listening to all voices and having a transparent and open process. While we do this climate action plan, I think we concurrently need to push for transparency, clarity, and accountability from IMEA. I think a lot of the information we hear from IMEA is, I've heard the term clear as mud. We need some clear guidance about where they are and where they are going with their plan before we agree to go forward with them. Definitely need a bid. And I think we need fresh eyes on council to make sure we are holding IMEA accountable so that way things don't fall through the cracks, like regulations for putting solar panels on our schools. I recently put solar panels on my house, and we wanted to put more than we were able to, but we were capped because of city council mandated IMEA suggested regulations. So I think fresh eyes on council would be helpful.
Thank you. Candidate Holzhauer.
Thank you. I'll give a very quick answer to this question. Sometimes less words make it clear. Yes, I unequivocally oppose the early renewal or the renewal at all of this contract. As far as next steps, I think one thing that I'd like to be really careful about is creating a false impression that there's some kind of negotiation to be had with IMEA in the year 2025. I think the longer we go on with this process of holding workshops and discussions about what they're bringing to the table versus what we want is creating the idea that a coal power plant owner is even remotely within the realm of consideration for us. So the answer is yes, and that's about all I have to say to that. Thank you.
Candidate Jaiswal.
So we can't do the same thing we did in 2007, unconditional signature of IMEA. So we can't do unconditional removal also unless we have alternate plans. I'm an electrical engineer by study and a digital transformation expert. I walk the talk. I have solar roof. I drive 2 electric cars, and I understand the sustainability, but I'm not here to preach. What I don't want to sign is something on our head by April of 2025. Definitely, I'm not going to sign that. Having said, what are our other options? If you look at my vision, my plan, 60% of renewables. Is it doable? I think there are certain city council limitations. I think they were removed from April 1 of this year. So, and we have a lot of square footage. We have 4 million square foot of school and public space. We have 30 million rooftop space. So if we really go in that direction, I think we have other options, and then we can still go back to IMEA. I'm not saying yes or no, but at this point, April 2025, I'm not going to sign that. And again, it should be, it should not have a substantial impact on tax. This is very important. At the cost of taxpayers, I don't want to make a policy decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Naperville's reliance on coal-generated electricity raises valid concerns about sustainability and the future of our energy mix. While the IMEA's proposed contract extension through 2055 could potentially lock Naperville into outdated energy practices, it's critical to evaluate all aspects of this issue thoroughly. I believe it'd be premature to commit to a position on the early contract extension until the city receives the findings and recommendations from an energy consultant recently approved by City Council. The expert analysis will provide the insight needed to make informed decisions about Naperville's energy future. What I can say is that we must prioritize both ratepayer savings and environmental sustainability. Competition and advancement in energy technology could offer significant benefits, and Naperville must position itself to take advantage of those opportunities. At the same time, we must ensure that Naperville retains an element of local control and autonomy over the energy decisions to serve the best interests of our residents. This is a complex issue that will impact the community for decades to come. I'm committed to working toward an energy strategy that aligns with our values of fiscal responsibility, sustainability, and the long-term well-being of Naperville residents.
Candidate Syeth.
I'm going to strongly oppose signing off IMEA contract. And for last 2 years, I have been one of the advocate for clean energy. I have been in the front everywhere, talking to people, educating community that clean energy which is required for Naperville. Not for our generation, for the next generation also. So signing a contract for $2 billion in rush is not Naperville. Not Naperville. We cannot. We need to think through. We need to plan. We need to think alternate ways, what we have, and then bring community together, talk to the stakeholders, and then we take a decision. So my thought is that explore competitive bidding, invest in local energy generation and storage, and we need to have public workshops with the community. Like today, I can see 100, 150, 200 people are sitting together talking about, knowing so something like this, we need to do multiple workshops in Naperville to come up with a good decision, good plan, so that we all are united as well as take the best interest of the Naperville. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I unconditionally oppose signing any type of contract extension at this point. As was mentioned up here before, we have hired a consultant that's going to help us out. We have a lot of expertise at our city, but this is something that's even above that level. So we're actually going out and getting some help to help us make the best decision for the city. At the end of the day, we want to have the cleanest energy for the best price. It's as simple as that. Okay, I think we've somewhat been led to believe that IMEA may be the only folks out there that can do this for us. There are several companies that can do this. I totally agree that we need to go and do an RFP to figure out what companies would like to bid on a contract that can support Naperville as far as what we want to do. So I think that becomes extremely important. And understand this, let's not get into any long-term contract at this point. Someone mentioned this at the last city council meeting. I don't know if that person's in here right now, but talked about Nokia phones. Thinking about how if we had, are you back there? There he is. He talked about, he has one probably holding it up right now. But think about I thought it was an excellent example. If you had a Nokia phone and you thought that was going to be the best thing in the world, look where you would be if you did that years ago. Okay, think about gas cars, and now we have electric cars. So let's not get locked in. Things are going to change. And let's be flexible enough in order to do that. Thank you.
In candidate Bansal, we'll wait for the microphone to come down to you. Oh, I thought it was.
So with the decades of experience in finance, I would bring these three top priorities to answer this question to the council. Number one is reliability. We need to keep our lights on 24/7 to have your warm houses for you and for your family, that our family needs it. Wind has to blow 24/7 at the optimal speed so that it can generate enough energy. Or the sun should shine for optimal speed of 4 to 6 hours per day to store enough backup if we are not having enough energy, relying on the reliability. That's why the reliability of the energy source would be the key. Number two is affordability. As a concerned resident, I want the most cost-effective energy source, which we must take steps to price the electricity competitive and affordable to our ratepayers. Number three would be the sustainability. I would like to hire a third party, as already the council has been working on it. The third party consultant would give us a future options to evaluate for our energy procurement that have reduced impact on environment. I agree, we all need clean energy. What IMEA is demanding to renew, say yes or no, or is I would say no to extension of this contract.
Thank you so much. Ready?
I'll use my teaching voice. As a visible city leader in Naperville, you'll play a key role in helping schools, the park district, businesses, citizens, nonprofits, and city management work together to address the threats and impacts of climate change. Can you identify 3 sustainability measures you would support as a partner with these organizations? And we'll begin with candidate Gibson.
Thank you. I really like this question because it highlights the collaborative nature of climate change problems. And none of us work in a silo, whether it's city council, park districts, school districts, and working together can magnify all of our efforts. So I also like this question because it goes beyond IMEA. I think when we talk about climate change in Naperville, IMEA is such a large looming issue that we forget about all the other things we should be concurrently working on. So as I mentioned before, I think a climate action plan will help us keep those priorities in order and make sure we are talking to all the stakeholders in our community. I think active mobility plan is something we've talked about in our city for a while. It was budgeted for in 2024 to hire a consultant, and I don't believe that's happened. So that would be my first. My second would be to adopt energy stretch codes. So when we're building new buildings in Naperville, we're building them for the future as our climate changes. And I'd also like to evaluate better ways to fund the Naperville Renewable Energy Program. Right now it's funded by donations, and if you get things like solar panels, you have to pay into the fund for a set amount of years to get the rebates. I think we've seen that rebates for environmental friendly choices are effective and a good way to change our community's behavior. And just in general, keeping up with what's working. I think we're doing a lot of great things in Naperville in terms of sustainability. So making evidence-based decisions about what is working and what isn't, and focusing our efforts on what we know can make change.
Thank you. First, I would agree with my fellow candidates' comments about a climate action plan. I like to think of this as a blueprint to help the whole community get on the same page. I found on city council that a lot of times our business leaders, fellow elected officials, they really do want to be on the same page with us with regard to making this a better community in all kinds of ways. But without having a unified document, it's very hard for people to move towards a shared vision. Speaking about being clear of our expectations for other stakeholders in the community, second point would be enacting building energy efficient stretch code, right? So going beyond our current building code to let our developers and our builders know that Naperville has a higher standard when it comes to energy efficiency in building. So that expectation is out there up front. It's not a nice to have, it's a need to have in our community. And finally, just like to highlight in my city council, one of my proudest accomplishments, I guess, over the last few years has been serving on the Riverwalk Commission along with Commissioner Gibson. It's an intergovernmental unit which works on a lot of sustainability issues, including riverbank restoration, native ecology, plants, and I'd like to continue that in my next term. Thank you.
Well,
All right. My platform is, the first one is G, the greener, eco-friendly Naperville. What does it mean? So we are running a friendly campaign, Beautiful Naperville, the BEE, beautiful, right? So having local vegetation, very important. Last time when I came here, I had talked about two-stroke engines. This is a real problem. Your lawnmowers, and this is local issue. And we have 30,000 homes in Naperville. 30,000 engines run weekly once, two-stroke engines. These are worse than your cars. These are two-stroke, generate a lot of emissions. Regenerative, obviously your renewables, city is taking steps, and we should continue doing that. We have, again, 30 million plus rooftop square footage in public buildings, public and private together. We could use that. Park district, if we combine, partner with them and have battery storage, we could have 100% renewable, but my campaign is promising 60%. So as an engineer, I'll contribute, I'll work with all the agencies, but this is without public, right? Without residential involvement, this is not going to happen. So we have to all work together, the schools, education, park district, nonprofits, and residents. Thank you.
Candidate McDaniel.
Thank you. As a city leader, I'd committed to addressing climate change while ensuring that every decision we make is fiscally responsible and delivers tangible value to Naperville residents. Building on Naperville's current sustainability initiatives, I'd support the following measures. Naperville has taken important steps by installing EV charging stations, and I support growing this network in a cost-effective manner. This is highlighted by my voting record as a two-term planning and zoning commissioner. By collaborating with businesses, schools, and park district, we can strategically place additional charging stations where demand is highest. The Renewable Energy Program provides valuable incentives for residents and businesses to install solar panels. I would advocate for expanding awareness of this program while exploring opportunities to secure state and federal funding. The approach ensures that we can encourage renewable energy adoption without placing undue financial burden on taxpayers. Naperville's rebate program of smart thermostats helps residents save on energy bills while reducing overall energy consumption. By further promoting this program and providing educational resources, we can maximize its impact and generate long-term savings for both participants and the city. Transitioning to renewable energy sources is essential, but we must do so responsibly, balancing sustainability goals with the need for prudent financial management. By prioritizing programs that offer strong returns on investment and leveraging partnerships and external funding, Naperville can achieve meaningful progress without compromising fiscal discipline. Thank you.
As a city leader, I would definitely take a lead in 3 initiatives. One is expand renewable energy incentives. Naperville has the highest EV adoption per capita in Illinois. We should expand our renewable energy program, offering more rebates for residents and businesses, solar, battery storage, and energy efficient appliances. Improve bike and pedestrian infrastructure. Implement green building standards. New development should adhere to net zero energy efficiency standards to lower utility cost and reduce carbon footprints. Addition in a note regarding operations for the city itself, leading by example with EV, fleet, solar, etc. By working with local schools, businesses, and residents, we can make Naperville a model for sustainable ensuring vibrant and healthy future for all of us. Thank you.
Candidate White.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I actually said 3, but I actually have 4. I would tell you, first of all, I would emphasize solar panels at our schools. Over in 204, they do a really good job with the city of Aurora, but we don't really do a good job here in Naperville. So I think that's something we definitely can do. I would incentivize developers, folks who are building homes, to focus, to understand that we have the highest density of electric vehicles here in Naperville. So maybe we can incentivize them to put in 240, 220 type of electrical outlets so that people can, it already be set for them to have their cars in there. Incentivize LED lighting to some of our businesses. That saves energy as well. And then let's take a look at, we have a lot of students that are in environmental groups at their schools. I would love to see them come up and present, as they do in other places, and get some of their ideas. I've been on the school board in 204, so I know a lot about collaborating with other entities within our community. I think a prime example I would tell you is when we had the tornadoes over at Ranch View. I was able to work with the county, with the state. We ended up getting about $1 million to help those folks recover their yards and so on. So that collaborative effort is important for us to move forward here in our community. Thank you very much.
And we'll begin at the top of the line again with candidate Bansal, as Karen is getting her steps in tonight.
Thank you. Environment stewardship is a goal, shared goal and responsibility. We can achieve more through outreach, coordination, and education of best practices. I would come up with 3 measures. Circular economy practices, reduce, reuse, and recycling should be our habit through design, manufacturing, and consumption habits. Eco-friendly practices, green spaces, and supporting technology to reduce air pollution. Number 2, reducing carbon emission, improving energy efficiency in building and industries, and adopting cleaner transportation methods through electric vehicles. Number 3, sustainable water use, reducing water waste through practicing like using low flow faucets, fixing leaks, or choosing water efficient appliances. I'm a proud homeowner with HVAC system at home, LED lights, we drive electric vehicle, solar lights, we have building efficiency code and everything, and much more. I'm on HOA board for several years, and we do get requests for installing the solar panels at the roof, and we always encourage our residents and community. And I believe charity begins at home. We share this education to a homeowner and spreads all over the community. I truly believe together we can make our city the more resilient city and make environment conscious decision. Thank you.
Thank you. So as the leadership in Nest know, I'm always talking about not forgetting the small changes we can make, the small changes that we all can see, feel, and smell every single day that helps encourage us for some of our bigger goals that we have. There are so many to choose from. I told Ted it's going to be hard to get this down in 90 seconds, but I'll get a few here. Number one thing that I've advocated for from the very beginning is for us changing the city from moving from turf grass to native plantings. Last year, we converted 23 acres from turf grass to native plantings. We're on par this year to doing 32.6 acres, and we have 19 other sites that we're evaluating to see if it's proper. Second thing I'll jump to is we're working with a nonprofit, the Conservation Foundation, to encourage homeowners to have more environmentally friendly landscaping. And the city will pay for the certification. Just so you guys know, we'll pay for the certification fee for you to become certified and with the Conservation Foundation. Last year, we certified, there were 22 homes certified, and they evaluated 57 other, assessed 57 others. Third, last but not least, working with Central College. So much waste occurs on move-out day, more than you can imagine. And so right now we're working on a program with a student group there so that they can work with local organizations that we connect them with so we can help solve that problem and get some of that stuff out of landfills. Okay, just in time.
So our last question, prepared. We'll start with candidate Holzhauer. He's ready. The Sustainability Naperville 2036 plan outlines key goals, including developing electric vehicle infrastructure, adopting net zero energy building codes, funding the renewable energy program, and reducing waste. In your opinion, which of these goals are we making adequate progress on, and where are we falling short? Additionally, how could we adjust our efforts to better meet these objectives?
Sure. We'll start with a few areas for improvement and then talk about some of our successes. So areas for improvement, number one, first and foremost, just the way we entered the IMEA contract, the way the negotiations are going. We've talked about it a lot. That is the number one thing I think that we need to change the way we're doing business in our city. Number two, we are doing a greenhouse gas inventory, or that's one of the things we're looking to do. It's maybe going a little slower than we would hope, but until we have that, it's hard to measure progress. So that's an area where I think improvement is possible. We just gotta get on the ball a little bit more. Third one is bikeability in our city. That is one of Nest's priorities, one of my priorities. It's tough for a community that's so built up, but one which I don't want us to lose sight of. I think it is an important goal. Some areas where we really have had a lot of successes on just kind of the private levels, as Councilman White pointed out, we have one of the highest EV adoption rates, not just in the state, but in the country. Our incentive programs work really well for people who want to increase the energy efficiency of their home, install new insulation, install EV charging, all of that. We really have a lot of great programs. As Councilwoman Taylor alluded to earlier, our native prairie restoration has been a real success, something we've been really proud of and learned a lot from the Park District on. So being humble and willing to reach out to our partners to learn. Thank you.
Candidate Jaiswal.
Okay, what's working? The renewable energy program seems to be working. There is area of improvement, but at least that's a good progress. EV adoption, as everyone speaks, I don't have the data. And we have 110,000 voters, 30,000+ homes. Not sure what the data says, but based on Tesla data, it looks like we have highest number of electric cars. But we can do better with the recharge and the renewable energy program. The bees and the local vegetation, this is very close to my heart. Again, coming from a different country, lawn was something a luxury in even back home. Here it is becoming luxury once the inflation sets in. Most of us, this summer we are going to have a shock. I think the local vegetation is going to save us water conservation, the land conservation, and also save in our mowing costs. So that's an area that I would strongly suggest Nest focus if it's not doing already. 22 homes is too less. 30,000 homes. So we are not even scratching the surface. What we can do is we can have a forum that can lead this. This is one of the biggest program I would say can help our city apart from everything. And then the trails. Yes, I love to walk, love to bike, but Amsterdam, we can become an example of Amsterdam with all the interlinked bikeability.
Thank you. Candidate McDaniel, your thoughts.
Thank you. The Sustainable Naperville 2036 plan outlines a bold vision for our community's future, and it's important to evaluate both our progress and the challenges we face. Naperville has made meaningful strides in developing EV infrastructure, which I'm proud to have supported through my voting record on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Additionally, the Renewable Energy Program has successfully incentivized solar panel installations, helping residents and businesses transition to cleaner energy sources. Progress has been made, but more work needs to be done to align with the plan's goals and waste reduction objectives. While recycling programs have expanded, there are opportunities to further reduce waste and increase public engagement in sustainable practices. Initiatives such as net zero building codes or renewable energy funding must balance sustainability with affordability. Engaging stakeholders, including residents, businesses, and developers, will be critical to finding cost-effective solutions. Collaborating with businesses and nonprofits can help expand EV infrastructure and renewable energy programs while reducing costs for the city. Raising awareness about waste reduction, energy efficiency, and sustainability programs can increase participation and amplify results without requiring significant additional funding. Naperville's status as the second largest economy in Illinois reflects the priorities of our residents and businesses who value sustainable and low-cost energy. Making fiscally responsible decisions can achieve our sustainability goals while ensuring economic stability and maintaining our community's high quality of life.
Thank you, candidate Scythe.
I think we are doing good, but we can improve. We can work for better. And I feel Naperville Renewable Energy Program, Naperville has a wonderful tree canopy, and our electric vehicle adoption rate is the highest in Illinois, and we have to add more EV charging stations in public spaces. Where we are falling short, active mobility plan, greenhouse gas energy, and IMEA contract. IMEA contract is one of the biggest contract we have to have a watch. And we cannot sit idle and watch things are going wrong on that. So we have to be very careful about this contract. So my focus will be on this IMEA contract. Thank you.
Candidate White.
Well, thank you. Here's some areas I think that we've done a pretty good job. The EV infrastructure has gotten better. Again, we talked about this, our city having the highest density of electric vehicles. So I think we're doing a pretty good job there. Here's where else I'll tell you we're doing a pretty good job. Electricity use here in our city has actually gone down. We actually see it at our electric department to the point we're wondering, are we going to be able to pay all of our employees because of the efficiency of our buildings, right? The education from organizations like NEST to our public has really helped us. So we're being more efficient with our use of electricity. Area I think that I know we need to improve on. I've been screaming about this for a very long time. When it comes to gas vehicles, you go out, you go buy your gas, you see there's a tax for every time you put gas in the car. With electric vehicles, obviously you aren't putting gas in there. So what they've done to allow us to use the roads like we should is it costs more to renew your vehicle to register your vehicle each time. However, we don't get any of that money back. With the motor fuel tax, we do get money back, but with electric cars, we do not get any of that funding back. So I've been trying to beat up our legislators down there to give Naperville its fair share of that because it's just not fair. So net zero materials, I would definitely try to incentivize that as well. Thank you all very much.
And candidate Bansal, we'll hear your thoughts.
So the city has adopted in 2021 the Sustainable Naperville 2036. The rapid growth in electric vehicle is a fundamental part today in the transportation choice. It does definitely benefit individuals, businesses, and community, but enough electric charging stations is the issue. And I truly believe the federal government funding for EV charging station will help local government to build enough infrastructure. Secondly, implementing stringent building energy codes is the key. Energy codes are just designed to protect natural resources, but also make buildings safer for the generations to come. And unfortunately, in older buildings, we do have some energy waste and that makes even more expensive consequences. And net zero energy codes and significant waste reduction can take longer to fully implement. Better builder training and more skilled workers is more important than the code enforcement. Safety and maintaining the city's budget should be considered in every measure we do a choice. It should be for Naperville, it should be for ratepayers, it shouldn't be for the contractors. Being fiscally responsible and respecting taxpayers' money is a challenge to adopt these measures. In my opinion, supporting responsible and balanced transition is what we need, as we do not want to completely discourage the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Present Taylor.
Thank you. So the sustainability work plan that City Council passed in August of 2021, I was one of those who voted for it, is an excellent example of collaboration between the city and Nest, because the city pulled what they put on their work plan from the 2036 plan that Nest had worked so hard and diligently to put together for them. And anyone who's looked at this knows that there is like a huge checklist, like of 80 something items, some easier to check off, some not so well. Some of the things that we are doing a good job working on that checklist, I think I might have heard, I've heard some reference to this already, is, EV vehicles or non-combustible engine vehicles. I know that for the city fleet that we are have taken an actually concerted effort to convert vehicles, or when vehicles need to be we need to buy new ones, to get ones that are either EV, or for police cars we're getting hybrids, because they still need to be able to, if they have to chase that bad guy. So, and the police have responded very well to the hybrids, and we're hoping, we're just seeing it's a success rate for our city. Also, as you've heard, the per capita here in Naperville, is one of the highest, is the highest in Illinois for EV vehicles. And that's because we provide incentives, or one of the reasons we provide incentives for that. And then, but
Thank
negative,
you.
sorry.
Candidate Gibson.
Thank you. Yes, as Councilwoman Brazan Taylor said, the Sustainable Naperville 2036 plan, grew out of the workshops done by Nest and so many people in this room to make a plan on how, as a community, we can address the challenges before us. And it has an awesome checklist. I pulled it up on the internet just a couple days ago, and it says the current category is labeled December 2022. So much work went into this plan. Now, at the Park District, when we make plans, we're really big on making conscious plans with checklists. We get quarterly updates on our progress, saying what we've accomplished, what we haven't. So many people put energy and work and effort into making this plan. I think our community deserves timely updates on where we are. What's the point of making these plans if we're not actually checking things off the list and doing them? So there are things we've checked off the list. I think native plantings is a great example. What else do we have? The renewable energy program, the partnership with the Conservation Foundation are all great. But there's a lot of things on this list that not only do we need to do, but we need to stay on top of, because what's the point of passing things if we're not making sure they're actually getting done? So I would like to see active mobility plan, a greenhouse gas inventory, which will help us find our way forward to reduce that, and a better way to fund our renewable energy program.
Thank you. Now we start the lightning round. And the lightning round is this. I'm going to read a question, and you are only able to say yes or no. You're going to want to say more, but you can't, okay?
It's the wrong person to start with.
So, your first question. Would you support developing a comprehensive carbon action plan for the city of Naperville with clear goals and accountability measures similar to those successfully implemented in other communities in District 203?
Big yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Second question,
Oh, my turn.
beginning with candidate McDaniel. Would you support providing recycling to multifamily dwellings and commercial properties? Candidate McDaniel.
Yes.
Candidate Scythe.
Yes.
Candidate White.
Yes.
Candidate Bansal. Here we go.
Yes.
Candidate Bruzan Taylor.
Yes.
Candidate Gibson.
Yes.
Candidate Holzhauer.
Yes.
Candidate Deiswall.
Yes.
Okay. Next question. Should Naperville set timelines and goals for adopting electric vehicles for its city government fleet? And we're beginning with candidate Scythe.
Yes.
Candidate White.
Yes.
Candidate Ansel.
Yes.
Candidate Bruzan Taylor.
Yes.
Candidate Gibson.
Yes.
Candidate Holzhauer.
Yes.
Candidate Jaiswal.
Yes.
And candidate McDaniel.
Yes.
Okay, our next rapid round question will begin with candidate White. And the question is this. Should we add electric vehicle chargers to Naperville municipal buildings?
Absolutely yes.
Candidate Bansal.
Yes.
Candidate Taylor.
Yes, and we are right now.
Yes.
Candidate Gibson. Candidate Holzhauer.
Yes.
Candidate Jaiswal.
Yes.
Candidate McDaniel.
Yes.
Candidate Scythe.
Yes.
Okay. Next question. I do have to add an editorial question as the driver of an electric vehicle, and I visit your community often. I'm glad to hear this. Okay. Lightning round question. Would you support expanding infrastructure to use bikes as a mode of transportation? Candidate Bansal.
Yes, I do.
Candidate Taylor.
Yes.
Candidate Gibson.
Yes.
Candidate Holzhauer.
Yes.
Candidate Jaiswal.
Yes.
Candidate McDaniel.
Yes.
Candidate Scythe.
Yes.
Candidate White.
Yes.
You are an agreeable group. Okay. Next question. Would you support incentivizing businesses to install electric vehicle charging stations? Candidate President Taylor.
Yes.
Candidate Gibson.
Yes.
Candidate Holzhauer.
Yes.
Candidate Joswell.
Yes.
Candidate McDaniel.
Yes.
Candidate Scythe.
Yes.
Candidate White.
Yes.
And Candidate Bansal. I see a yes coming here.
Yes.
Okay, starting with candidate, we'll be starting with candidate Bruzan Taylor. No, oh, okay. Candidate Danielson. Candidate Gibson. All right, Candidate Gibson, you ready? Would you support, and oh, we did that one. Should we add solar panels to all Naperville municipal buildings?
Yeah. I'd love to see that.
Yes.
Candidate Holzhauer.
Oh, yeah.
Candidate Jaiswal.
Yes for Holt Tower.
Yes.
For Jaiswal. Yes for McDaniel?
Yes.
Oh, I'm starting to
for me.
I am not his campaign chairman, please believe me. Candidate Scythe.
Yes.
Candidate White.
Yes.
Candidate Bansal. I should drag your name out. Okay.
Yes.
And candidate Bruzan Taylor.
Yes.
Okay. This next question will start with candidate
This is
Holzhauer.
going to be the hard one.
Would you support a plastic bag fee to reduce single-use plastic waste?
No.
Candidate no? Okay. Candidate Joswell.
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Sure. Excuse me, I have to go back. Would you support a plastic bag fee to reduce single-use plastic waste?
Yes.
Candidate McDaniel?
No.
Candidate Scythe?
Yes.
Candidate White?
Yes.
Candidate Bansal?
No.
And candidate Bruzan Taylor?
No.
And candidate Gibson?
Yes.
Ah, excellent. Some discussion will take place.
Oh.
Well, now I'd like to have Tom Boulard come forward to see if there's any questions from the audience that he would like to ask for you.
How do I work this thing? Just hold it. Okay. Can you hear me? No, this is not close enough to. Well, we have a lot of questions from the audience. Can you hear me? Okay. Am I getting recorded? Okay. Let's start right in. And these you have 60 seconds to answer. Is that right? 60 seconds? Okay. So, starting with candidate Jesswell. Outside of your future plans, in what ways have you contributed to sustainability efforts in Naperville?
Okay, this is very close to my heart. Sustainability. Personally, I walk the talk. I have a solar roof. I have 2 electric cars. I started off with a hybrid. So personally, as a family, we are going towards net carbon zero. Again, at work, I support net carbon zero with my employer. I can't take the name now, but we support net zero. So I'm a big believer in net zero. However, I'm going to run for city council. It's not what I believe. It is for all the residents here. So keeping that in mind, if it has a huge cost impact, then my answer is going to be, depends. But I would like to see the net carbon zero be a practice at all homes and all businesses. So that should be a foundation. Thank you.
So I think we need to think globally but act locally, right? And I guess we can ask ourselves what that means. My wife and I, we have 3 kids, and whenever I'm walking down the stairs and I see my kids, they left the lights on, it bothers the heck out of me, right? For a couple of reasons. 1, it costs money, but 2, it's wasting energy. So that's something that I think we all can do. It's simple actions every day. That's one of them. That's something that I make a conscious effort to do every single day. 2, one of my big jobs at home is to take the garbage out. Not just the garbage, but the recycling. It piles up. We pack it in a certain spot in our garage, and I got to do that when I go home tonight. The other thing that I think that I do, and we could all do more of, refillable water bottles. We travel a lot, all of us. I have my wife and I and our kids. We all have our own water bottles that we bring with us, and we refill wherever we can, and clearly would help to reduce waste in that way.
I have replaced my LED lights. All I have LED lights at home, and definitely zero wastage at my home. We make sure there is no wastage going to the garbage cans. So these are the small things. Greenery, again, planting. So I have a huge garden, so we plant. If somebody can stop by at my place, you will find around 30 rose plants at my place. Planting, So these are the small things which I do it, and I want my next generation also to follow those things, Thank you.
Yeah, things that I've done. When I was on the school board, I know we emphasized LED lighting in 204, which has been great. I practice it every day. I drive an electric car, so that was there. The other one, I'll tell you this. I work and kind of started an organization in Naperville called Naperville Neighbors United, and there's many members. I think Ashfaq's on that board, and there's others in the audience right now. But that organization is really all about bringing the community together, understanding that we all come from different backgrounds and different cultures, different races, religions, and so on. We work with Kawa. I see Nancy up here. Those are sustainability types of measures. Those are issues. Because if we can't get along as a community, how are we going to sustain ourselves? If we're all thinking negative about each other and so on. So this helps to provide understanding for us, and I'm real proud of the work that's been done over there. So from a sustainability standpoint, I think it's extremely important. Thank you.
So as I mentioned earlier, our house is very HVAC system with the most effective system. LED lights, electric vehicles, solar panels, sensor lights, house is completely sealed, weatherproofed, water conservation censored, and proper waste management. Everything begins at home. Both my daughters in their apartments, they follow the same practice. Being HOA board member, we educate our whole White Eagle 1100 homes to follow these procedures, the way we can conserve our natural resources. When elected, that would be my practice to partnering with local government, with all the community engagement, and together we can definitely make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe the question is to what we do in our everyday life. I mean, there's so many, but the biggest one that I like to focus on is that our biggest issue in our landfills is food waste. I have 3 little kids, 2 cats, and a dog. We have 0 food waste in my house. Absolutely 0 food waste. Every bone gets cooked made into broth for soup. Carrot scrapings get eaten as well. Everything. I grew up without food at times. I know what it's like. My kids have learned we don't waste food. Everything gets reused in some way. So that's something I'm very proud of. And I'm not one of those contributing to that big issue in our landfill. Also, as I say many times, I'm a dumpster diver. My husband hates Tuesday mornings and me out because I'm out there grabbing stuff, though I have gotten stuff for our remodel that has saved us that many thousands of dollars. So may have scraped up the brand new van doing it, but no, we have a lot of waste out there. It's unnecessary. We need to, in our everyday lives, small things we can do.
Thank you. So how have I contributed to sustainability in Naperville? I'd just like to start really proud of the work at the Park District I've done. Things we do as individuals is obviously really important, but as elected leaders, we have a responsibility to address the larger systemic changes that need to be done in our community. So that is probably the biggest way I've contributed. But on a personal level, we installed solar panels about 1.5 years ago. It's been really helpful. I'm happy with that. I compost all our food waste. I try to bundle trips so I don't drive around town as much as I need to, or do everything at once so there's not multiple trips. I walk my kids to school as much as possible, maybe not on always those super cold days. Don't have an electric car yet. I have a 9 and 14-year-old Hondas, so when they eventually die, which may never happen, we plan to get electric cars. Switched our lights. One of the things I really love that I've done is I've redone the landscaping in my yard with native plantings, avoiding cultivators, and it's been really great to see the insects increase. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So very quickly on a personal level, very proud to, in 2014, have started with a plug-in hybrid, another plug-in hybrid with a family in 2020, and then am on a fully electric vehicle now. But I think I am also conscious of the fact that I've been entrusted for the last 4 years with a tremendous responsibility, which is to be one of the 9 votes that dictates energy policy for this city for the next generation. And so what I've done is, as much as possible, educated myself on topics that are so esoteric, it is unbelievable. So talking to people like Kathy Clark and Greg Hubert, Howard Salk, learning about things like the difference between the PJM grid, the MISO grid, learning what a retired energy, renewable energy credit is versus a non-retired credit. I hope none of you or most of you ever have to learn about these things, but I will until the day I die, as long as I'm in this office.
So the conversation to this point has been dominated by electric power issues. Will you be introducing measures to address noise pollution, light pollution, salt pollution, and other environmental policies?
Is this a yes or no question?
No, this is 60 seconds.
The easy answer would be yes. I think it would be a fantastic idea to implement those initiatives. I think it would make most sense to take a really kind of prudent look at how it would impact the city, not just financially, but also our infrastructure. If any type of additional components or salt that we put down on the roads in the wintertime, what's that going to do? How's it going to create some additional crumbling? But I absolutely think we should, and there you go.
Ted, can you repeat the question, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Will you be introducing measures to address noise pollution, salt pollution, and other environmental policies?
Yes, Ted. Thank you.
Yes, in fact, I have done that already when it comes to the noise, especially in the downtown area. We, especially maybe during, it's going on now, maybe more so after COVID, but the noise that would take place with the engines revving up and all of those types of things. So we've actually worked with our law enforcement to try to get that trimmed down to some level. It's absolutely ridiculous. The other part is, if you can go, I know where I live, they race up and down the street all the time, especially the motorcycles. They're just flying right where, kind of where 95th extends out into Bolingbrook now. It becomes a racetrack. So those types of things I would be very interested in as far as reducing some of the noise pollution that we have. I even had it, someone called to the city in reference to the plant off of Ogden, what's it called? Mondelez, yeah, it makes a lot of noise with that stack up there. So, and we addressed that. So I'd be happy to continue to do that. Thank you.
Yes, I would definitely support to take any measures to control such pollution in the Naperville. But considering the fact that these are always be the cost would be the first priority. So I would like to consider more safety, and maintaining the city's budget should be the most effective way to handle these measures. Thank you.
Thank you. Of those listed, the one that's actually pretty close to my heart is the dark sky initiatives. If anyone's actually been somewhere without light pollution, like I have, and it's amazing when you see what life is like with light pollution without. You can actually see the stars, and you can see it's sad that we don't have that here in Naperville, and we probably never will again, but what we can do is prevent it from spreading. And so this is something I'm conscious about when we have things come before us, before council. I know that about 2.5 years ago, that we had Water Street come, where, you know how they have those nice lights over, you know, at night. I actually was the only person to vote no. And I stated my reason was because of it would cause light pollution. And so that's something that I'm always working to address. I know that we have a group now that's starting to push this forth, that I'm interested in hearing more solutions and how we can go forth on this.
Thank you. I agree. Dark Skies is amazing. I went to a great presentation by Nest a couple months ago on it. And Park District Vice President Ruffing has educated me a lot on this topic. So we actually pushed through and passed Dark Skies at the Park District. I'm really proud of that. As lighting and technology advancements, increase, there's more options. We have an obligation to change our policies and practices to keep up with changing times and technology. Salt policy, I think, is another interesting one. I believe the Conservation Foundation is doing a lot of work on salt runoff in our community. And I see that the same way. There's a lot of great alternatives to road salt that are better for our environment, better for our pets. And as these options become available, I think we have a responsibility to explore using them.
Thank you. A few things that I'd like to highlight I'm proud of. With regard to salt, our Public Works Department looked and realized that the amount of salt we were putting on roads was way, way overkill, right? So we had a default almost where people would set the spreaders to spread as much as possible. And so they've really, really had a concerted effort to save both money and be better for the environment by cutting back on that. My dad is an amateur astronomer. He actually helped build the observatory on Springbrook, if you've ever been there. Anyone here is an amateur astronomer. One of my proudest moments on council was we had a dark skies advocate come and meet with our city staff, and he had a list of like 10 things, and it was almost like, well, which of these aren't you doing? And he left, and he's like, okay, I actually don't see anything that you aren't doing. So I was very proud of that, and I see that my time is up. So thank you.
So this might sound funny, the noise pollution, but Naperville spring through fall, I have to get up early because every lawn mows at a different time. We outsource our lawns. It's not any more funny because some guy comes in at 7. Some people love their lawns. They do it 3 times, right? So I have a neighbor who lawns, they want it small. So that noise, for them it might be clean, but for me it's annoying. Now, get the robots, get the electric lawnmowers, guys, because it's going to save the environment and the noise pollution. I agree with the light. I grew up in a town less than 500 people, so never used to the light pollution. Now I think we can never remove it. Definitely agree with salt alternates. In fact, back in 70s or 80s, I think there used to be electric heaters on homes, on their driveways. So that's an option.
Okay, new question. Beyond the much talked about concerns with the mix of coal in our current IMEA contract, has the IMEA contract been a good or a bad deal for Naperville?
Yeah. So it is a bad deal. It is a suicide for Naperville, for the next generation. I will definitely not support, or we should not support as a community, and we should educate the community about this contract, bring people together, talk to people, talk to city staff, and educate, and then take a wise decision. So that is my thought process. Yep.
Yeah, this is the kind of the Nokia phone situation. Quite frankly, I think when they first did this contract, they were examining around trying to find the best cost and most efficient energy source that they could find, and the council back then decided to go this route. So they bought the Nokia phone, but now it's 20 years later and so on, and we realize that phone would be a horrible deal right now. So as it stands right now, it's a bad deal for Naperville as times have changed, and we've polluted the air. We've made things extremely difficult, especially for those individuals who live in the southern part of Illinois. Believe it or not, we're not suffering what's being burned. That's happening down there, and so if we're going to be leaders here in the state of Illinois, then we've got to do the right thing as well, and get rid of the IMEA coal burning stuff. It's just horrible for our environment, and we need to be more responsible with that within our own community. Thank you.
Well, I agree that we should not extend the contract today, and the decision would made for 3 different choices. The future energy the energy consultant, which will be coming with the future options for various energy procurement deals. We are in the midst of energy change requirements, and what is best for the Naperville. What we have to look is that what is best for the Naperville, not what is best for the IMEA. Is it good or bad? I think after the enough of decision and the working towards the consultants and the shift towards energy requirement in the Naperville should be the reason for the making decision.
Thank you. It's funny. It's easy to always, hindsight's 2020, right? Back when they made that decision, it was natural gas was so expensive. The information they had at the time for them, I could see why they thought that was the best option at the time, especially since we didn't have as much environmental awareness as we have and the education that we have today that wasn't just as present in 2007 when this was signed. Now, the things we always have to balance right on council is sustainability and affordability, and people talk about reliability. I don't worry about the reliability because I know that 95% of our electric lines are underground, so the reliability aspect's covered. But we have to look at the affordability and sustainability. And a positive, if you could find a positive to burning the coal, is that we have lower rates than ComEd. And so from the affordability aspect, we've been successful. But as for the sustainability aspect, we have not been successful, sorry.
I agree. can't really pass much judgment on what was decided in 2007. I'm choosing to focus on now and going forward. If we set aside the renewal, the request for early renewal, I have a lot of frustrations with the IMEA contract. Clarity, transparency, updating our community, whether that falls on IMEA or Naperville, probably a little bit of both. I also have some frustrations with the local control. I think I mentioned I put on solar panels. I would have loved to put on more solar panels, but there was a rule about the capacity and past usage. So now I have like a perfect square on my roof minus one tiny little tile that drives me crazy. And apparently that rule has changed or is going to change, or it had been in the works for being changed for years. And that's really frustrating, and again, clear as mud. My understanding is that it was dictated or suggested by IMEA, and then council and city passed that rule. But so yeah, I have frustrations, but I'm focusing on the current and going forward.
Thank you. The question is phrased as an opinion question about whether it's a good deal, but I don't actually think it's an opinion. I think it's a mathematical question. And there were over $1 billion of cost overruns in the building of this plant. And all you have to do is look up a Chicago Tribune article from 2015 that goes through how much extra Naperville was paying for energy for many years. So you can look at 1 or 2 years now and say, hey, rates have been a little lower, but in the aggregate, this was a bad mathematical choice, okay? Also, if we renew, we are going to be expected to fund a speculative project in carbon capture, something that nobody has been successful with ever in the world. If that's not successful, we're on the hook for that financially. So I think mathematically, probably not a good choice going forward either. Thank you.
I would request you to repeat the question because I think the answers varied. I'm sorry.
Beyond the much talked about concerns with the mix of coal in our current IMEA contract, has the IMEA contract been a good deal or a bad deal for Naperville?
Okay, so I believe there are two congressmen's representatives here, and we are in city council. Now, there is a law, Illinois law, that restricts nuclear power generation, 36-year-old law, that you cannot expand nuclear energy. And I'm going to put back on the local, state legislature on that. When it was signed in 2007, we need to look at historically, right, how our hands were tied. We had gas versus coal. We didn't have renewables at that time. And it was very expensive. So if I look back, is the coal clean? Is it not clean? I mean, there are many variants. However, going forward, we still don't have a choice. The nuclear power bill that was passed in 2023 restricts 300 megawatts, and it is not applicable to municipal plant generation. So we can talk in ether, we can bring an expert. Again, sorry to disappoint, but this is a state question. Go back to governor and ask this. Thank you.
I'm not gonna look back and pass judgment on those who, made this decision 15, 20 years ago. It was an incredibly complex decision, a very difficult one for them to make, and they made the best decision with the information that they had at the time. Clearly now, 15, 20 years, have gone by. We're in a very different situation. Technology has changed. There are so many more things available for us now that they did not, may have not even comprehended, back then. So I think looking forward, any agreement that we enter into as it relates to IMEA or another organization needs to keep Naperville first and foremost. What's best for Naperville, what's going to help keep our costs low, what's going to be provide a more sustainable energy resource for us today and for generations in the future. We are 1/3 of IMEA. We need to leverage our collective strength, if you will, and also to Councilman Holzhauer's point. Carbon capture, it is not necessarily a proven thing, and I think that it does provide a tremendous amount of risk if we were to commit ourselves to that.
I think we have time for one more question from the audience. As housing development becomes more dense, what measures are being taken to address sustainability issues in multifamily buildings and properties, condos, apartments, etc.?
One more time?
Sure. As housing development becomes more dense, what measures are being taken to address sustainability issues in multifamily buildings and properties on those apartments?
Okay. I think one of the things we've been able to do is to emphasize green space within those types of dense areas. I know we're looking at a particular development off of Freedom Drive, just south of Freedom Drive, where I think it's NIU campus, a campus right over there. But is it NIU? So over there is a prime example of some of the things that we were looking at and emphasizing to the developers to ensure that they were putting some green space in there. Because once you get an area that's so dense, everyone tends to think that you no longer have the outdoor enjoyment that you would like to have. So I think that's been something that I would ask us to continue to do. I think it'd be a great initiative for us. Thank you.
I would like to go back to reliability, affordability, and sustainability measures with implementing reduce, reuse, and recycle for all the dense housing projects and everything. Energy code is something which is again very important, and for me, safety and without burdening any taxpayers, that would be my another priority to working towards this measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Council members for a while now have been, and a lot of times we have private discussions. They meet with us, it's called 2-on-2s, when developers have an idea for a project, just to kind of see if there's what pushback or what questions could be answered. And one of the things that I know I always ask is, what kind of sustainable measures are you putting in? And the interesting thing is that I've learned is that these developers already know what we want, and they're doing it themselves, like VOC free paint, making sure that they are following a lot of the procedure. When you get LEED certification, a lot of the requirements with that. Native plantings, that's something that we're always asking for and requiring that we have native plantings. And as Councilman White already mentioned about the open space, that's something that even developers are on their own saying, you know what, you require 30%, we're actually giving you even more. Because they know that they'll more likely get us to support their project. So that's something that developers know, the feel on council. This is something that we expect from projects, and so they know not to bring us projects that are not meeting those requirements. Thank you.
Thank you. I mentioned stretch codes earlier and making sure that we're setting our city codes to make sure the buildings are future-proof. I believe Councilman Hosauer also talked about that. So I would be in supportive of that, especially for more denser developments, not necessarily dense developments, but auxiliary dwelling units would be something I'd be in favor of as well. And yeah, just making sure our codes are leveraging and aware of advancements in technology for our new buildings.
Thank you. Sometimes the project itself improves a sustainability goal. So for example, when we approve several condo units that are walkable to our downtown or a train station, that means less cars on the road. That means people who are able to do their dining, their shopping, their walking to school, all of that without the use of a car. So I think that's a point that's worth making. Also, when a development is proposed, I've gotten in the habit of now asking the attorneys for the developer, what is the closest park or trail or whatever outdoor amenity there is to your building? And recently we found out with regard to the development Councilman White mentioned, it was a half-mile away, it was Arrowhead Park, and they needed an easement to get a trail to Arrowhead, but our developer, I was able to put pressure on them and they agreed to do that, which created access to a park which otherwise wouldn't have existed. Thank you.
Yeah, so a lot of great ideas by Councilman White, Holzar, all of you. Apart from this, each one is a case-by-case basis. At the end of the day, the project itself has to be sustainable, both financially and environmentally. You can't put environment and have a fiscal burden on the builder and the resident. It has to make financial sense as well. But if we have an existing template and if we can expand it so that it is environmentally friendly, so expand LEED and keep it modifying, which means every couple of years as the technology upgrades and as we have new developments. And the builders themselves, they are in this field, so they are looking at it from all perspectives. So I'll be supportive of all the measures that will make it environmentally friendly.
Sure. As a two-term planning zoning commissioner, there have been a number of occasions where I'm proud to have voted in favor of developments that utilize and leverage sustainable materials, especially large open green spaces. I can tell you for certain, there's one development that I was proud to support off of Deal and Freedom Drive. Multi-unit development. It's going to be including EV charging stations, which is, again, something very excited and proud to support. Developers are coming to us, especially in planning zoning first, to include these efforts and these initiatives in their plans because they know it's important to us because it's important to all of you. So.
Thank you. So I would recommend that we, from the day one, work with the developer, plan strategy about EV chargers, plantations, energy, everything A to Z, and then start working on those segments so that we don't have challenges in future. So that is my thought process. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. In reverse order of numbers, I'd like to thank Barbara Lemons for, I can't really say excellence in moderation, but being an excellent moderator. The stars of tonight's forum, obviously, are the 8 candidates running for City Council. I thought they did a terrific job, and I'd like to turn it over to you. Thanks to all the volunteers from First Congregational and from Nest, especially Joe and Teresa Huss. Joe's not able to be here because of an illness. Claudia Hackney, Peter Fales, Mark Service, and Pastor Ramona. And from Nest, especially Linda Watkins, Pat Caruso, and Fernando Ariola. But most importantly, the people in the room that are the decision makers for this election, thank you for taking time out of your busy week to spend a couple hours with us. Thanks for all the terrific questions that you wrote. I'm sorry I could only answer a few, but we have places to be other than here. And thanks for your interest and for voting. April 1st, early voting starts March 17th. And now we have a half an hour to help yourselves to refreshments and coffee, drinks, and get to know your candidates a little bit better. Thank you all.